time. It's time, Patrick.
It is time. The Jeff Sargent Show comes to you on a charming Monday with a blowing, warm Santa Ana wind coming in from the west.
Oh, wow. Did you feel that hot wind upon your shoulder? Coming in from the south of the border.
I said radio. What does he say?
Oh, wow. What a weekend. Oh.
Now,
Comic book convention, NAMM show, blah, blah, blah. Sheena Metal's experience at the Improv last night.
And our charming female guest was here before we even started on the air.
Oh, my gosh. We got a beautiful blonde.
This is true.
Denee. Oh, Denee,
Burns.
won't you come out tonight?
You sound like
I'm just having Sean Cassidy flashbacks. I never met a girl named Denee, only in a song.
This is true. You always wonder if he was mistaking a boy for... There we go, Denee.
Good morning, Denee Burns, our in-house guest.
Blonde enchantress from the desert coming to give us the message on balloons and wine.
Wow, I've been excited about this for a long time.
This is true.
Introduce yourself, please.
Good morning, Jeff and Pat. I'm Denee Burns, and thank you so much for having me. I'm so ready to have so much fun this morning, and I love you guys already. So
we adore the enchantress.
Thank you for adopting me into the chaoticradio.com family.
Totally. Yeah. We're honored to have you, baby. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
And on a serious note, also, Dan the Man Rupp will not be with us. He's hospitalized right now.
Yeah, he'll be out the rest of the week. We got Jimmy Shaw. We got lifesaver Jimmy Shaw from the Jimmy and Roy thing. Thank you, Jimmy. Thanks for coming in and helping us.
And Head Honcho Dutchie actually helped us this morning.
Oh, yeah, Head Honcho Dutchie. That's right.
So keep Dan in your thoughts and prayers. And back to the lovely blonde enchantress who's already texting. She's not bored with us, Jeff.
Oh, my God.
I was trying to put you on Facebook Live.
Oh, yeah.
Is it working? Go for it. Go for it, Your Highness.
Is that okay?
Yeah. Do it.
I am just so honored
to
be here.
No, baby, we're on it.
Okay, but you mainly want to have the camera on you because
you're the money shot.
We watch us every day, so
how about?
we want to look at something beautiful this morning.
A beautiful blonde is occupying chair number 3. Thank you.
Well, thank you guys for having me. Just wanted to talk about the Temecula Valley Balloon and Wine Festival.
Yes.
First, baby, we want your superhero origin story. Where are you from? What brought you to this?
Okay, so I was born in Bellflower and grew up in Dallas, Texas, and then in Kansas, and then migrated back to California in '87 to the Temecula area. And at that time, it was just
there wasn't much there.
Nothing, but I thought it was a big city because I came from Kansas, and a town of like 5,000 people. So I would go to school and go, "Look at this big city we live in," and everyone was looking at me like I was crazy because it was just all farmland.
There's one track home, a few blocks of track homes in Warrenhurst town.
What part of Kansas did you live in?
North Central Concordia, Kansas. So shout out to anybody in Kansas who's listening.
North Concordia, woohoo! The Chiefs. Very politically incorrect now.
Yeah. So anyways, loved Kansas, loved growing up there, very Norman Rockwell. And so coming out to California was a big culture shock for me.
You didn't remember your earlier days as a Californian?
No, well, barely. I moved out of California when I was 4.
Wow.
And then came back for high school, graduated at Elsinore High. And it was just a great place to be raised. And to come back to California, it's been a lot of fun. A lot of great people in our valley. So I just feel really honored to live there.
So you watch the whole community in Temecula just expand, just add water and poof.
Exactly. It's been crazy growth, but thankfully our city planners have done really well building the infrastructure and providing for the growth. And so we have, now it's actually a destination place.
This is true.
Well, they got that casino out there too,
yeah,
right?
Pachanga.
Pachanga.
Which is added
resort.
on. And
so you could get a foot massage out there in the...
Okay, Pachanga's not Morongo, right? Morongo's the one with the blue building?
That's over here.
Completely different.
That's further out. Temecula is that way towards San Diego. The back way to San Diego.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's actually funny because some of us... Temeculans, some people call us Temecula.
Oh, that's right.
We'll talk about how people are actually talking about vacationing now in Temecula from all parts of the country and even the world.
We shot little when we redid that, The Invaders was filmed there.
The
Hotel
Invaders?
Temecula, The Invaders.
The Invaders shot in Temecula?
Yeah.
I did not know that. An old fugitive knockoff about aliens.
Yes,
Nice.
back in 1968, that TV show was.
We just, Jeff came with me and we interviewed the creator. And he owns a castle-like mansion in Beverly Hills.
Yes, and we were talking about how the Temecula Strip it's like a big tour place, you know? The street is packed. The cars are going real slow down the main boulevard.
What do you love about Temecula, Denee?
Oh my gosh, there's so much to love about it. I mean, the people are just fantastic. So it feels like we have the mall, and we have some culture and Pottery Barn and, you know, a lot of great restaurants and different things. But then we also have our main street. So we'll have 4th of July Main Street Parade. So it still
Really?
feels
Uncle Sam on stilts, the whole ball of wax?
Yeah, so it still like feels very much like Kansas, where you have your main street and people are very cohesive and just warm and welcoming, and it doesn't feel so cityfied. And people say it's becoming more like Orange County in LA, but it just feels so warm, and everybody knows your name, and everyone helps one another out, and it's just it feels very small town. So I feel like it wasn't too big of a leap to go from Kansas to this area because we're also tight knit.
I was just thinking how your adorable Kansas attitude makes Temecula sound like a small bucolic town.
It is. It's so wonderful. And we have so many great restaurants, so much to do now. Before it was just kind of, what do we do on a Friday, Saturday night? We'd have to go to Escondido or Riverside to go to a movie. And now we just have everything. We have restaurants and wineries, and the Old Town Temecula has really grown up, and there's an Old Town Theater, and just so many great restaurants, and there's just nightlife.
Wow, there's a nightlife in Elsinore. I mean, in Temecula.
I experienced it. I was working at a shop doing a art project, and I spent the night there, and it was nightlife is happening there.
It is.
You know, the clubs are people waiting outside to get in, and it's just a really pleasant nightlife.
And then
Great
Pachanga.
restaurant.
It's so fun. I mean, you can't beat Pachanga, and they're building a brand new spa, and they're expanding and adding pools and rooms, and I mean, it's definitely a destination place. It's one of the top. It's one of the top casinos in the United States, and it's first class.
Wow. Now, how often do you go to San Diego? Do you ever get bored? Yeah, as nice as Temecula is.
Hop on the 215 and just keep going.
Try to find parking by Petco Park.
Going through Fallbrook, and then you end up in Escondido, and then boom, you're right there.
Yeah, I do love San Diego. I take my son there about once a month. We just went to the Birch Aquarium in La Jolla.
Oh, yeah.
A couple weekends ago, we're in Coronado doing the tandem bikes.
Wow.
So, I mean, there's
tandem
some
bikes
things-
is adorable.
Did you go in Sunny Jim Cave down in La Jolla? That man-made
Yes,
cave.
I love that cave.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I just discovered that. I've been to La Jolla so many times and then just discovered that. And we were also trying to find the secret swings in La Jolla by UC San Diego, but they were so secret we couldn't find them.
Wow.
We searched up and down the mountain and we were so disappointed.
Yeah.
So someday we'll find them.
Have you ever done Comic-Con?
No, I'd love to. That is such, oh my gosh, that is such a dream of mine to do Comic-Con. I would love to. So someday that's on my bucket list.
Wow, interesting. Now, with Temecula, when do you think the whole Temecula explosion began? When Pachanga opened, or?
Probably. I mean, it really started to explode around, I would say, 91. Well, let's see. We had I'd say 88, 89. We really started to grow. It was Rancho California at that time.
Yeah, Rancho California. Then Rancho Murrieta.
Yeah, so we went through a couple of different names, and I'm glad that they settled on Temecula, which honors the Indian tribes there and kind of our grassroots. But for a long time, they tried to bring trains into Temecula in the early 1900s, late 1880s, and they kept being flooded out. So it kind of protected Temecula as a little enclave until the 15 ran through there and they reorganized. I don't know if you remember the 91 being reorganized, and then people were able to live in the suburbs and then commute to Orange County, which is what my husband and I did. We had worked in Orange County for a tech firm and then started commuting every day on that 91. We bought a home in Murrieta because it was reasonably priced. And they're still, I mean, the homes are more expensive now, but still very, very reasonable compared to the rest of the region in Orange County. So it's been a great place to raise kids and on the soccer fields and getting to know everybody.
Wow, that would make you a soccer mom.
Oh,
Interesting.
Yeah,
Wow.
With a soccer
van.
van.
Wow.
It was great.
I can almost
so
see
fun.
your sunscreen and then baseball cap.
Oh, totally. I had all the gear.
Wow.
So at the kids' school, I volunteered a lot, and I was a volunteer cheer coach. They wanted a cheer team, so
No, we were you had to have been a Kansas cheerleader. That's my guess. Yeah,
I
I'm
was.
disappointed if you weren't.
Elsinore High was as well.
Wow.
And I really, really enjoyed it. I love cheering people on. So my daughters wanted a cheer team at their school, and the administration couldn't afford to pay for the position. So I said, well, I'll volunteer. So I got my certification.
That's Kansas for you.
Yeah. So I had 30 athletes, and we had so much fun. And I volunteered in the classroom, field trips. I mean, just totally involved in their lives. So it was fun.
That's really impressive, actually. You know, wow.
See all these cameras right here? They're looking at you right here. Right here.
You look at
Morning,
Right
happy
here. And
Monday.
there's one behind you.
you look like the world's most charming 7-Eleven shoplifter.
So how long is this? It seems like it's been going on forever since the town, the Balloon and Wine Festival.
Balloon
How
and
did
Wine
that give
Festival.
birth? How did that happen?
Gosh, I don't know the original story, but this is our 35th year.
Wow.
And it's our banner year. So I do remember in high school, I took a dance class. They had Jan and Dean on stage, and they put us on stage to sing with Jan and Dean and dance with them. And so that was a lot of fun, and it's just it's grown exponentially. I mean, we can barely fit into Lake Skinner, which is a natural reserve, and we've just really almost outgrown that. And so people come from all over the world, actually, to attend it because there's not that many air balloon festivals. So,
There's
I've
like
seen
one in
them-
Holland,
don't-
Michigan, and you guys, you know.
They land in San Diego, right? Or Del Mar? It seems like they, right? Is that where they?
no, they still land in Temecula.
Oh.
They take off
Temecula's in
in
the title, dope. They're not going to land in San Diego.
No, I see them because they get up there and win and travel. And I've seen them land over in Del Mar when I was in Del Mar.
Okay, yeah. I mean, potentially some of them could, float that far, but they usually don't take our guests that far away. We want to keep them at the festival, spending their
with the
money.
money.
So,
Deanie's not calling you an effing liar, but the implication is there.
no, I'm sure that happens, but we just wouldn't take our guests that far. We want them to stay at the festival and drink and enjoy. But it's a nonprofit, and so it's primarily ran by volunteers. And we get a lot of people who, I mean, it's very classy. It's a lot of fun. We get a lot of people who Coachella is just too much for them. And we have some great bands. I mean, people really come for the music, the wine. We have a VIP dinner where the top chefs from Pechanga and around the area come.
Oh, wow.
And they pair the wine with the food. And
They
it's
bring
just-
over all the whales from the casino.
Yeah.
Get them drunk, show them a good time.
Exactly. So we're actually getting a lot of millennials coming now who are, they like the peach fuzzy, sweeter wines, which is completely fine. And then we have those who are a little bit more, finicky about their wine and want the top red wines. And so we get a wide variety of a crowd. Sunday is our Western Day cowboy lineup, primarily Western lineup, and then Saturday is our alternative rock. And last year we did a Friday the 80s. So we had a lot of great 80s bands. So
Who'd you
people really
have?
enjoyed that. We had the Motels. We had Tommy Two Tone.
You had Tommy Two Tone?
Yeah.
Wow.
My big sister, they played her Disney night. Remember the Disney nights when all the high school?
Yeah.
And I remember one of her best friends, Tommy Two Tone, just me.
Yeah, we had Bow Wow.
Pow wow wow.
Yeah, there's
Annabella Lewin, still one of the most beautiful women in rock.
Yeah.
definitely. So we always have a great music lineup, and it's reasonably priced. The tickets are reasonable. And so I did want to mention that this year it is coming up, and it's June 1st through the 3rd.
June 1st to the 3rd. Gotcha.
Yeah, so we've actually figured out that's a perfect time. A couple years back, we had it at the end of May, and it was too windy, and the balloons couldn't launch.
Wow.
So,
Really?
Yeah, people were really disappointed, but
Would you get them drunk and rock the bucket?
So it's good when there's no wind and you could just go straight up and hang out and
right.
come back down.
If there's too much wind, I mean, obviously with fire, people had a hard time understanding, but the balloons we tried to launch them on media day and it was all over the place.
Wow.
And we didn't want to blow up any media because we love you guys.
We love you too. Thank you. Thank you for thinking of us.
But last year we were able to do the balloon glow on Saturday night, which they bring in about, it's about 10 balloons, and they're all, it's just so beautiful. They all they're lit up from the fire, obviously, and they start to launch, and it's so gorgeous. And so we were able to do balloon glow Saturday night, but the other thing is if we wait too late in the season into the summer, they can't launch. And again, that's more science and people have a hard time understanding it, but it's hot air rises. So if it's too hot, then the balloons can't launch.
Yeah.
So
That makes sense,
we had to explain that to everybody. I said, we need to have a educational seminar there, or STEM sort of school, to explain how hot air balloons work. You can't have wind and you can't have too much heat.
But you know what's interesting is you're not just promoting it. We're looking at your face. You're truly enthused about it, which is kind of charming. You know what I mean?
Thank you. I love it. Yeah, I get to walk around and interview everybody and ask how their experience was.
I never seen a hot air balloon up close. I mean, I never got near, it's always been watching on TV or from the side
The
of the
old
freeway.
movies around the world in 80 days and all this.
I'll be
Hurry, Fosfatuna,
driving
the
down
natives
the
are
freeway
attacking.
and going, oh my gosh, look, hot air balloons. Just pull over and they're taking pictures, getting binoculars out. And this is going to be an experience,
Come
man.
on out. We'll have you on media day. We'll launch you.
Oh my God, great! I've always wanted. That's one of my bucket list things is to hang glide or get in a glider plane and get on a hot air balloon. Yeah.
Really? That's always been one of your things?
Yes, I love being up in the air. I like flying.
I've always found it exciting yet terrifying.
You could float too, Pat.
We all float down here, Pennywise.
We're gonna float up there.
Come on out. We'll put you in a hot air balloon. A Great Big Escape is a wonderful local company that has a lot of hot air balloons. They've been doing hot air balloons for many, many, many years. So
do they
that's
do
a good
it?
company to go
Do
with.
they do it through the year, through the season?
They do through the cooler season.
Yeah.
She's just telling you how there's certain times of the year you just cannot do it. And Holland, Michigan, by where I'm from, they had one of the reality shows. This heavyset woman fell out of the balloon and was hanging by her leg.
Oh my God!
So that's in all the Rescue 911 shows.
Yeah, we've never had that. Thank God. That would not be good PR.
It's a Michigan thing, Denee.
Yeah.
It's everybody half-asses everything there. Wow. Yeah, no. But did you do this before you went up in one, or did you just go up in one and that just took your breath away?
Well, a little caveat. I've only been a couple of feet above the ground, so I almost got put in one last year.
So you're a little flying angel.
Yeah. And we had some. We actually did a great Twitter and Instagram campaign where we invited bloggers to come.
Why would you do that to yourself? They're all heavyset, pimply, angry.
No, they're awesome. And so they came and they took pictures and blogged about it, and we got a lot of good PR out of it. So I was on one of the balloons, and I got off and let them go so they could experience it, and they took some great pictures for us and really promoted it. So we're actually getting people from all around the world to come. We had a woman from Australia last year, and then Eastern Europe, a family came. And
really?
Yeah, so it's really become a great festival for anybody globally to come and visit Temecula. So who would have thought?
Oh, beautiful downtown Temecula.
How many balloonists show up?
Yeah, that's a great question. How many balloons do you usually wind up with?
Oh gosh, it seems like it's about 20. So I believe we're going to have Melody on at some point to talk about this as well, and she has more of the detail. She's been doing it for 35 years.
Oh.
So I was just brought on the marketing team the last couple of years, and she would have all the numerical detail. But Just to tell you from the ground floor, just interviewing people, they have a great experience. It's just a lot more laid back than Coachella, not as many people, great band, smaller venue, great wine, awesome food. We bring in food vendors. It's an incredible family atmosphere. People bring out their families.
Wow.
And it supports all the local nonprofits. You come and they volunteer and they get a little stipend if they volunteer. And it supports the entire community. And Lake Skinner's so beautiful. It's at a nature reserve. So it's just a great festival.
Interesting. Yeah, no, but you truly love it. It's obvious. It's written across your cheeks. You love this thing. You know what I mean? Which is kind of charming. You're actually promoting something you truly care about.
I do. Absolutely. So it's great for our region, and it really promotes our wineries, which our wine is just superb. I mean, it's incredible. I've tried wine from Napa, Chile, France, in France and different areas. And when I was up in Napa, I kept saying, why did I come up to Napa? I mean, I have something that's just as equitable in Temecula. Why would I spend all this money to go up to Napa? And so our wine region has really grown up tremendously. So I would encourage anybody to consider it, especially if they're a wine aficionado.
Wow, very nice.
That's one of our sponsors is Pacific Wine Merchants
and
Cigar Exchange.
In beautiful downtown Upland.
Yes.
Jeffrey, where do you go when you feel like a glass of port and maybe a great cigar?
I go to Pacific Wine Merchants in downtown Upland at the Metrolink. One of the largest humidors for cigars, wines around the world, and
occasional celebrity guests like the great Tommy Lasorda.
Yes.
And Joe from Night at the Museum and the original Taking of Pelham 123.
Yes. That's Bill Cobbs.
Yes, Bill, thank you. When did they come, Joe? I don't know.
Music on the weekends.
Eric Alagi and other great performers usually come on and play while you drink and have a good time. And it's you can spot on a clear night, you can see the IHOP.
Yeah. That's our sponsor.
Yeah.
Pacific Wine Merchants and Cigar Exchange.
Hey, Jeff, where do you go in Rancho Cucamonga when you want good New York bagels?
I go to New York Bagel Company.
Run by the great Jamal.
By great Jamal. And guess what?
What's that, Jeffrey?
They're called New York Bagels because they import the water all the way from New York.
New York City.
This is a true thing, Denee.
This is. That's why it's very tasty,
Denee.
Denee. Oh.
Denee.
Don't worry, Deanie's already texting New York bagel. I'm reading over her shoulder.
They import the water from New York to make a New York bagel. It makes sense, though.
Nice.
Not the water that turned the homeless men into chuds, but the good water.
Yes. I like their blueberry bagels. Oh, they're so good.
Me and producer Dan the Man Rupp, we love the anything bagel.
And it's they're open 7 days a week?
7 days a week.
Right there here in Rancho Cucamonga on the corner of Archibald and Foothill.
And because it's on our time, you can get it 3 hours earlier than New York.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Smile for the lovely blonde.
Jeff and Pat, chaoticradio.com.
Woo-hoo.
Watch
Thanks,
us.
baby. Hang on, you. I'm going to get you water. Deanie, would you like water?
Yes, please.
Jeff, I'll get you one, too.
Yeah, is there... Yeah, I'll take one. So welcome back to the show. I got to get you speaking in front of the microphone. Oh, yes. Looking...
Hey, Jeff. It's so good to be here.
There we go. Okay, Patrick. Back to the wine. California is one of the top places in the world for wine, isn't it?
Definitely. Between Napa and Temecula.
and since you've been, were there any new vineyards popping up, or they always existed there when you moved into Temecula?
Oh, gosh. The growth has been tremendous. I mean, the region just keeps expanding. So, there's so many great new wineries. Leonis, Lorimar, Ponte, South Coast. Just so many newer ones have popped up. Thornton's been there for a long time. Callaway. And let's see, Salurzo, and we've also, our area has grown in the beer boutiques. So we have a lot of beer vendors who come to the Wine and Bloom Festival as well. So I want to.
Yeah, the craft beer thing has really taken off. I mean, just in our one town, just Pomona, Claremont, and Upland. I mean, there's several. There's really good ones there, and that's. I can't even do the domestic beer thing anymore.
Yeah, they've spoiled it.
It's got to be the custom craft.
The craft beer is amazing. There's this Polish beer called Prezek. And it's just amazing. It's amazingly good, you know? I mean, you can't say no to it, you know?
Yeah, so the festival we actually do have a great area for a kids play zone. So people don't realize that you can bring your children to it. And there's so much for everyone to do. So people just come and hang out all day, and they bring blankets and just kind of make a day of it.
And go to watch the balloons and drink their wine?
Yeah. So
do the balloons, do they go up at night? You said to do the glowing thing?
For the balloon glow on Saturday night.
Man.
Seriously,
That would be spectacular.
Yeah.
Not me, man. I'm not going up on a balloon at night. That's terrifying.
I will. We're going to bungee jump you off the balloon. We're going to do.
What kind of wine do you drink on your balloon trips there? And when you're watching them, what's your wine of choice, red or white?
So red, definitely.
And why?
Heart healthy.
Oh, I know.
So the Merlot is one of my favorites, or the Pinot.
Wow.
Pinot Noir.
I like the Merlot.
Yeah. So we have some great reds, whites, Champagne, Wilson Creek Winery, best almond champagne, fabulous winery, and there's just so many. I can't even. You have to come out. You have to come out. We'll take a tour. Wow. But they're just Vitigliano. I think that's how you pronounce it. That's a really good one that's recently popped up, and yeah, we just have some amazing wineries.
Now, where did you live in Dallas? What part of Dallas did you live in?
Dallas. Well, I lived in Dallas, Texas, Mesquite, the suburb. I grew up there. So we moved there because my dad wanted to go to Dallas Theological Seminary. So
he wasn't obsessed with solving the Kennedy assassination or anything?
No, we did go by that knoll, the grassy knoll, and it was a very sad time. So
do you buy it? The lone gunman theory.
Yeah, that was just horrible. So not a good thing for Dallas history.
The Tourist Commission.
I've been to Houston, Dallas, and Austin. That's where.
I love Austin.
And I went
Shiner
there.
beer, boys and girls.
It was great.
Wow.
I took a tour of downtown Austin in the capital. Yeah, and it's like live music capital of the world. You go down that one street, and there's live music at every bar. It was amazing.
Did you go to the Bat Bridge?
I went to the Bat Bridge.
The Bat Bridge.
I took pictures there.
Drinking Shiner Bock beer, just watching the bats fly out. It's kind of amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, it's a great city. San Antonio is lovely too, and I haven't been to Houston except for the airport, of course. And then
where they shot RoboCop, by the way, Houston. That's where the buildings look.
Really?
Parts of it were shot in Kaiser Fontana, right over here, about 6 minutes over here, and it's just beautiful, you know.
Yeah. Well, speaking of movies, I forgot to mention in Temecula, a very, very famous movie was shot there called Super Movie, and it's actually my son's movie. He made a movie when he was 8 years old.
Super Movie?
He wrote it in first grade, shot it and filmed it in third grade, and then it won first place in the Irvine International Film Festival.
The teachers approved all the sex scenes and everything?
Barely.
Your son's a visionary.
Barely made it past the censors. But no, it's a really cute movie, and he's a great little artist. Creative mind.
You know, that's what I like about a lot of these film festivals now is people get their kids involved, and it's really cute, man. They'll narrate, and one did one with like little claymation, and you know they're 5 minutes long, you know.
Because
they do a really good job.
Coronado's near Temecula, but not in Temecula, right?
Coronado?
Yeah, the Hotel Coronado's not too far from.
Oh yeah.
They shot The Stuntman there.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You know, great movie if you ever get a chance to see it. I believe they shot, I want to say Color of Night was shot there with Bruce Willis. And just a beautiful area.
Yeah, I took my son to the Hotel del Coronado a couple weeks ago, and he just fell in love with it. He loves history, and we rode the tandem bikes to the hotel and walked around, and it was just amazing. People were ice skating.
Wow.
And then here's the beach, and here's the ice skating rink, and it was just so bizarre. Just winter in California, you know, you can kind of do a little bit of everything at the same time, and it was a lot of fun.
That was like a haven for people back in the day, huh? They come all over the world for the Hotel Coronado.
Yeah, it's
it's I know in high school we sent my parents there on the anniversary of their their wedding anniversary, and it's a beautiful place. And I mean, Stuntman was one of my dad's favorite movies, and they'd already stayed at the Coronado before then, but when they saw the Stuntman, it reminded my dad how much he loved Coronado.
Yeah, the hotel is just such a rich history, and then we actually got to ride one of those elevators that's still manned.
Wow, was it the glass elevator or?
Yeah, with the chain, the wrought iron, and the man that was in there who was running it looked like he was there since the inception of the hotel. I mean, it was just so quintessential.
It was your big shining moment, the ghost of the elevator operator.
Oh my gosh, it was so fun.
So he hasn't been here for 100 years. Well, I just seen him in there.
He died in the big crash of 2003.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the great part about history like that. My English editor, I write for a magazine. I wrote for a magazine in college out of Putney, and my editor came to town and he wanted to see all the California stuff. And I took him to Angel's Flight, the funicular, and the chain broke like 2 days after we wrote it and killed this old guy on board and broke somebody's back. And he couldn't get out of how weird it was, this poor Englishman, how weird it was that he could have been killed 2 days, if we'd gone 2 days later on his trip, Wow. So it's kind of exciting to see that history there and then see the terrible part of it happen,
Yeah.
I just got a message Something Like It Hot was filmed there.
This is true.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice. That is such a great movie, too.
Yeah.
That was a really good one. So another event I want to mention that most people don't know about, but it is growing in Temecula, and it's a really fun event. I mean, you guys definitely should come out and cover it. You would love it. It's called Reality Rally, and it was started by Jillian Larson, and I'm a volunteer on the marketing team as well, and she was on Survivor. And she's just an amazing woman. And she started this reality rally to raise money for breast cancer awareness. And they bring out reality TV stars from all over the country.
Oh,
and
wow.
they have teams. So different companies or organizations could form a team, and they do a scavenger hunt around the city. And I mean, companies plan their teams and their strategy they plan it a whole year ahead. They want to win this thing. They have the Chamber of Commerce's pitted against one another, and they're
That's
all really into
funny,
it.
and it's a cheap way to get celebrities. Reality show. I did a teen sex comedy in Palm Springs like 8 years ago, and half the cast was like reality show people. And you had like a kid from the hills who was tipping everyone in the town $100 for minor things. And it's like, you're not going to have the $100 bill forever, kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's May. This is actually a month before the Balloon and Wine Festival. It's May 3rd through the 5th. And they start off at Pechanga Resort. That's who's hosting everybody this year. There's a public lip sync showdown. There's a reception fundraiser. And then they also have the Amazing Race game that Saturday, May 5th from 9 to 1. And then they have a Reality Rally Celebrity Chefs Showcase. And that's going to be on Saturday, May 5th. So they actually have chefs from different reality shows pitted against one another in a competition.
Oh, yeah.
So it's
Do
so
they know
much
which
fun.
one? Do they know which ones yet? What reality show stars are coming?
No, they don't. The reality stars, they do need to raise a certain amount of money to be included in the program. And
Basically to prove they have enough draw. You know what I mean?
yeah, and just to support. I mean, it's a fundraiser.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
so
exactly.
Everything is donated, and Jillian is just very strict about that. No one's paid. Everyone in the town either volunteers or participates.
That's really smart. That's charming
It's a
too.
lot of
That you know what I
fun.
mean?
Yeah, you guys would love it.
Wow,
There's
you
so
are
much energy there.
you are the best promotion for Temecula I can possibly think of.
Thank you.
Temecula should thank you. Wow, hold on one sec. My coffee's ready. Shut up.
So yeah, I hope you guys come out for that. That's just a blast. It's so high energy and so much fun, so much going on.
Now it lasts for what? It's a 3-day thing too?
It's a 3-day thing.
So it takes the weekend with the Friday, Saturday, and Sunday then, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so we hit the wineries, we hit Pechanga, we go all around the town. So it's really a beautiful way to showcase the town as well. And we get a lot of media coming out and then encourage people to go on social media, a lot of exposure, and raises a lot of money for breast cancer awareness. So thank God for that.
No, this is true, you know. And no, Denee, do you have a business in Temecula? Because you are so good at promoting the town. I'm really impressed.
Thank you. I do. I love promoting organizations and other people. And so I run True North Consulting. So I do marketing and public relations. I write grants for nonprofits, some political consulting, and then also I just recently started learning Oracle PeopleSoft to get into more the IT aspect. But so I do have a marketing company, my own company.
Wow. Interesting. Yeah, because you're very good at this.
Thank you.
I mean, I'm rooting for Temecula halfway through the show. That's impressive.
You're so sweet, Pat. Thank you. I'm going to invite you guys to every event.
Yeah. We'll definitely come out. Because I love, like I said, I went as soon as I hit that strip, that, you know, the historic town. I mean, the old buildings, hundreds of years, 100 years old. And it was great. I was real impressed with the Hotel Temecula. It still had the paint, the pattern from the old days.
That's what I kind of like about Temecula, in that you've kept that old town feel. You know, it has that old Palm Springs feel.
Boardwalk.
Exactly,
you could walk on.
But my parents lived in Tucson for 10 years, and I would go out and I would go out there, and they would have all the big clunky like carpet giant, all the big statuary and everything from the fabulous 50s. And Temecula's done a good way of keeping that look, you know.
Yeah, thank you. We it's a really there's a lot of rich history there, and also Murrieta and the surrounding cities. But most people don't realize that Pompey, who was Sacagawea's son, was one of the founding members of Temecula, and his name's actually written on a stone in Sam Hicks Park, right in the downtown. We have a museum there, and then there's a lot of antique homes that were Sears Roebuck homes, which are actually
really the actual store bought. Wow.
Yeah, so you could buy a home from Sears Roebuck,
like a craftsman Sears and Roebuck's home, and they're still living in them.
Yes, so they're beautiful homes. I mean, small, but they would transport. I mean, they would send in this kit everything down to the nails, wood, everything, put it through the Panama Canal, and then someone would have to pick it up at the docks in, I believe it was Long Beach, and take it by wagon across the terrain. So we still have some of those homes standing, and those themselves are considered antiques. So
wow, that's cool.
Really,
I didn't know that part about
history.
it.
No, that's kind of amazing when you put it that way, you know?
Yeah, so I hope you guys definitely come and check it out. And then also I want to just give a little quick shout out. My daughter is a aspiring history teacher, but on the side, she's also an amazing photographer. She's at As You Wish Production, and so if anybody needs wedding photos,
As You Wish Productions. What's her name, by the way? Denee? What's your daughter's name?
Wait! I thought your daughter, she couldn't be more than 15 years old.
Exactly. No, she's.
What do you have an adult daughter?
Yes.
That's
yes.
amazing.
How is that possible?
Thank your parents. Those are amazing.
You're
genes.
not old enough.
You're very kind.
This is how young Denee is. She went to high school with her youngest daughter.
She doesn't look a day over 29.
You guys are so sweet. I love you.
I'm just still thinking of her rocking the cheerleader saddle shoes and the high socks. Wow.
Yeah.
So she's an amazing photographer, though. She has an eye for the picture and just capturing the moment. So As You Wish Production, Peyton Grace Burns.
No, who did you name her after? Peyton, you know?
So one of my friends thought of the name, and I looked it up, and it means warrior princess. And I really wanted her to be a strong, independent young woman, and she is. She just fits the bill, and she's an amazing woman. She works full-time. She has her own photography company. She goes to school, wants to be a teacher, wants to give back. So
tell her not to aspire too hard to be a high school English history teacher. I did that for a while, and she's in for tell her to work on that, but enjoy photography too. That's where the excitement is.
Yeah. Well, she wants to give back, and being a teacher is so fulfilling. And we're in a current teacher shortage, so we need new youth. So.
There you go, Pat.
This is true. This is true. If she looks like you, she'll be able to tame a high school class, no problem.
Thank you.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, thank you. So I can be found on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, all the places that you would expect a marketing person to be found, so people can contact me through those venues. And
And True North Productions is the name of your company?
True North Consulting. And then
True
she's
North
at
Consulting.
yeah.
That's True North Consulting in downtown Temecula.
Thank you, Jeff.
It sounds like a girl detective agency, doesn't it?
Thank you for the water.
No,
Pat.
but please, I wish it were cold.
It's perfect.
Dan
You
the
guys are
man
awesome.
usually has it chilling before we,
I have to say, I'm having so much fun here. You guys are
Well-
just so nice. You have the best personalities.
We're enjoying your stories, actually.
Thank you.
I hope you're not bored or anything. Cause
No way.
So how much is Lake Elsinore got any more water? I remember every time I passed through there, it seemed to be getting lower. and
There's
lower,
always a
like
sign about the
drying
water
up.
shortage and, don't get used to Elsinore water.
Like, where's all the boats?
Yeah, where's all the boats?
So has it filled up since the last rain, and has it got what's up with that lake?
I don't know. They really need, they're trying to work on it to keep the water levels even and consistent. But that's been a long-term project. I mean, since I've been there, it's just been an ongoing struggle. And part of it, I mean, honestly, was a political struggle. There was a lot of an enclave of the older community who had been there a long time who wanted to preserve the area, but what they didn't allow for is for people to buy the land very readily and build. So there's a lot of mobile homes on the shoreline, and they just didn't allow the capital to come in and money. At one point, we were told a Red Lion Inn was supposed to come in. And
Wow, they blocked a Red Lion Inn from coming in.
so it's really, really struggled. So but their downtown area is phenomenal. And Stadium Pizza actually just went in there. I don't know if you heard about Stadium Pizza, but they're phenomenal. They have the best pizza in the region. They just built a beautiful new restaurant in downtown Lake Elsinore. And so they're really trying to revamp the downtown. And there's a lot of history there as well. And so it's really important to preserve all of that. And there was a famous preacher, Amy.
Amy Simple McPherson.
Yeah, she built a
Wow.
home up there, and then it was a wreck for a long time. And
Yeah, but crazy con artist. You know what I mean? I mean, and she disappeared for a while.
Right.
Her story, it's amazing you would mention that because my brother Donald, we were in downtown LA, and he pointed out one of Amy Simple McPherson's old churches. And, she did this whole thing where she disappeared and no one knew what happened to her. And she ran off with this, and it was an amazing story. You know what I mean? I mean, trying to think, there's some famous movie that was based on her, but one of her churches is now a restaurant in downtown LA. And my brother was giving me the whole spiel,
Gosh,
wow. So Amy Simple McPherson was in Elsinore.
Yeah, she built this incredible house, and I heard it was just amazing. But when I was a teenager, it was like the place that people would go to go party, and it was supposed to be haunted. And I was never brave enough to go up there. But then somebody came in and refurbished it, and they were giving tours. And now I heard, unfortunately, it's a private owner, which I wish that it had been taken over as a public.
It should be a historic landmark.
Right,
Yeah, you're right. I
People
mean,
should be able to tour it.
exactly. It's like having a Winchester Mystery House in the middle of Elsinore, you know?
Right, and then keeping it for a private entity. So anyways, there's just a lot of great history there, and I really hope they do revamp the lake and take control of that because it could be a beautiful lake. When I was younger, I would come out and visit my grandparents, and we would ski on that lake, and it was gorgeous, and I loved visiting my grandparents in Lake Elsinore, and since then, I haven't been on the lake since, gosh, I don't even remember, probably 88.
Wow.
89.
Because I remember we were going to San Diego with my parents. We always took the 15, the back way to go to Del Mar. And I go, wow, that's a really cool lake. I see people, ski boats and all kinds of activity going on.
I always dug the Elsinore Outlet Mall. You know what I mean? I mean, when's the last time you went there, Smoney? Because
Oh,
it has
goodness.
everything. What?
You're putting me on the spot.
Yeah.
Let's see how you went on this one, Bonnie.
You know, honestly, I'm not a huge shopper, so I have like one store that I go to, and I pretty much frequent that. And my kids like to go to the mall in Temecula,
Oh,
and
boo.
so you know they kind of drag me down that way. And so, anyways, that's primarily where I shop. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, I was wondering. I mean, because there is a lot of cool stuff in Elsinore. It doesn't get credit for much, but you know what I mean. I mean, there's a lot of in the Inland Empire anyway. There's a lot of weird, cool history. My friend Heather got married about a year and a half ago at this amazing. They got married at the downtown Riverside. What's it called? Famous place.
Oh, Mission Inn.
Mission Inn.
Wow.
Oh, I
Good
love
girl.
that place.
Mission Inn. That place is something else.
Yeah.
Man. Yeah.
So they got
Oh,
married
so
there,
love
and
that
the night of there's this bed and breakfast in Lake Arrowhead that was haunted,
Oh, really?
and we stayed there. And I got my own room, and it was horrifying. I mean, you'd hear these weird bumps and creaks, and I remember thinking about 3 a.m. when something thumped like a foot between the bed and the light, and there was like a thump. I thought, oh, okay, lights go on. And I hung in, you know what I mean? But I thought, it was literally, you would hear weird noises. There'd be like a light on the wall where there was no window. This was happening all night long. And when it came down in the morning, I'll ask Heather what the name of the place was, but when it came down in the morning, the caretakers showed up, and they said, we were surprised. They said, most people who sleep in your room, my room was the main one on this one side on the 3rd floor. She goes, even Hill Hauser mentioned it's the most haunted room in the place.
Oh, wow.
And I'm thinking,
oh my God.
I felt stuff and weird stuff. I mean, my arm hairs are going up now just thinking about
Really?
this. And it was like, I was just laying there in bed thinking, why am I here? Why am I freaking here? You know what I mean? Because it was literally like you'd hear, and I don't go for this haunted house hooey, but you would feel something like a foot from you. And it's like, and I stupidly had gone to bed with the lights off. It's like, all right, lights are on. But you would hear creaking like someone was in the room with you when you're laying in bed.
Interesting.
You'd feel something cold on your leg. Like somebody, at one point, around 3 o'clock in the morning, it felt like somebody grabbed my leg.
Wow.
And it was like, at that point, I was going to beat the hell out of any ghost. Because it's like, it felt like
I'd
a
like
cold.
to see that.
Yeah, it was very unnerving. I'll get the name from her, but it was very unnerving. I mean, it was just weird. You know what I mean? I mean, and it was really clever of her to pick this place because
Right.
it stays in your mind. But
Definitely.
it was creepy as hell.
So speaking of that, we're talking about Lake Elsinore. I wanted to show you there's a place called the Chimes that's supposed to be haunted.
Wow.
So if you come down, we can go in there together. I've never I've never been brave enough to go in there by myself.
You've got to
but,
wear
yeah.
a dress and a candle like in an old Hammer
Yeah.
Dracula movie.
There you go. But there's so many
That's a
great
beautiful
places.
building, man.
Yeah, that is a beautiful building. What is talk to us about that between Elsinore and Temecula? What are your favorite places and why?
To shop, eat, what?
And
Okay.
you want the experience. That's what I'm saying. If you're going down,
Yeah.
we'll say somebody from Upland or Cucamonga, we're going down there for the day or the weekend. What would you hit? What would be the perfect Temecula/Elsinore day for you?
Oh, wow. That's so amazing.
And don't
Okay,
say Tom's Farm.
Yeah. So most people don't realize that this little area is here, but it's actually one of my favorite. I'm a history buff. So one of my favorite places to go is the Paris Train Museum because it has trains from all of the different periods and you could ride them. And the people working there, they're actually volunteers, are from, the old railroad era. And then we actually met women who were Harvey girls. And most people don't know about Harvey.
I've been to the Harvey House. If the Harvey House is out there,
are
my
you-
brother Donald is like a master of obscure history. He made us go to the Harvey House when we were driving back from Arizona. We went over the Harvey girls, which I believe Judy Garland made a movie about them.
Yes.
Talking about that.
Yes.
Wow, good for you. My God, you impressed me. Okay, tell us about that.
So the Harvey girls, they actually still meet, and they were women who would come from all over the farms, young women who wanted to get off the farm and travel a bit, and they would sign up to be these waitresses at Harvey houses.
Right,
along the railroad station stops. And
whistle stop, a little whistle stop, you know?
Yeah, and they had, when the trains would come, they had a certain short amount of time to feed the people, and they were not allowed to wed when they were Harvey girls. There were very strict requirements, and they had to all sleep at night in the same house. But they got to travel and meet new people. And that movie is actually one of my favorite movies. And Angela Lansbury, I sat next to her on a plane one time, and most people don't know about that movie. And when I sat down next to her, I said, I just want you to know you completely upstaged Judy Garland in the Harvey Girls movie, and she got the biggest smile.
Wow.
She is just like beaming from ear to ear. And so anyways, that train museum does have a lot of that history, so that's one of my favorite places.
Well, by the way, you know what? I've never even thought of that being Elsinore, but it is. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's right next to Elsinore in Paris, and their downtown is really cool as well. And most people don't know about downtown Paris, California, but it has a lot of rich history and old buildings, and it's just phenomenal. So I love to go there. And some of my favorite restaurants are Anthony's, which is a little Italian restaurant owned by locals, and then The Mill has been around for ages, and all of the locals love The Mill.
Wow.
And that's in Murrieta.
Wow.
And so I like going there.
Is it it's a restaurant? Is it old school or?
Yeah.
Can I get the old meat and potatoes kind of dinner at the Mill?
At the Mill, yes, you can.
That's what I like. Meat, I like the baked potato, the mashed potato, the steak, and the salad and all that. Corn, soup.
Yep. And the owners, Linda, she was one of my advisors at Elsinore High long time ago. So they've been around forever. And the Mills is a great restaurant. In Temecula, I love downtown Temecula, Blackburn Tavern, Goat and Vine.
Now, what's Goat and Vine?
They have the Greasy Spoon, the Swing In Cafe. Oh, you have to go there.
Wow.
Their breakfast is like the cinnamon rolls this big, and biscuits and gravy. They've been there.
That's where it was. I went. Me and my friend Jay. That's where me and Jay went when we were filming that remake shoot at the hotel. We went to that Spoon place. Yeah,
it's so great. They have the pies. It just reminds me of Kansas. They have, you can sit at the counter, or they have the cute little tables and great waitress, great servers.
Biscuits and gravy.
Yes.
Okay, one of our listeners, Steve, just pointed out the haunted place I'm talking about in Lake Arrowhead is Bracken Fern Manor.
Ooh, I'll have to check that out.
And it was Halloween weekend. She got married on Halloween weekend. So I was in a haunted bed and breakfast on Halloween night, which was not something I would recommend.
Wow.
It was it was like a terrible. It was like a Scooby-Doo cartoon where every time you'd start to sleep, there'd be a light or there'd be a thump, and it was like, oh my God, And at first, I was gonna sleep soundly through this place, but the room noises. Where I was alone in that room, and it's like there'd be a thump, and then it would sound like something was walking in your room. And I looked around to see if there was any mics or anything, and there wasn't. But around 3 o'clock in the morning, that room got very, very cold and very, very noisy.
Wow. Oh my God!
And it was like, and I'm laying there with the pillow thinking, I'm in a friggin' haunted bed and breakfast on Halloween night, and it was like. But you'd hear I outside of the wedding party breakfast afterwards, I didn't talk about this with anyone. And my plan B was I was hoping to get drunk enough that I would sleep through the night. That was the only spirits I wanted to hang with that evening. But you would hear like just the creepiest sounds. And if you go, I don't know, take a gun or something.
Oh, no, thank you.
Yeah, I don't know if you can shoot a ghost.
I don't even have
one. I can see you making the local paper. Rancho Cucamonga man beats the hell out of a ghost.
Yeah, it's like, what's a gun gonna do?
Yeah.
I think
His
you need to
hands
bring,
were
like,
bloody as he was pummeling a sheet in the morning.
I think you're supposed to bring like the crucifix and garlic
Yeah.
or something, right? I think that'd be more effective.
That's the
than
problem. I
gun.
was the world's worst altar boy. I missed all my cues.
I can just imagine. I'm just picturing that in my head, him punching ghosts.
I would try and get him around the sheet and just swing.
They're haunting the next room over. They're avoiding the Patrick's room from now on.
Bring a vase of holy water with you. That would be
Yeah.
more effective than a gun or knife.
I spent all night just jumping at shadows. You know what I mean? It was just the weirdest thing because around 3 o'clock in the morning, Heather just responded. So that she was the one who said Bracken. She also said Bracken Furnace. That's Steve. But the weird thumps and everything. It was unnerving. I don't know what the place you showed us is called the Bells. The one.
The chimes.
Yeah, tell us about
and,
that
like,
place because that looks creepy as hell.
So I've never had the courage to go in there, but I've heard it's haunted. It has a long history. So if you come down,
It looks
to, like,
haunted. It
Elsinore,
looks
I'd love
dim.
to-
So is
yeah.
it open day and night or what? What?
F
Let me
you, I'm not
look.
going
I
at night.
believe so. But I'll have to look. But it's a great. And then right next to it is, let's see.
I mean, is it a walkthrough experience? How's that work?
Yeah. So it kind of talks about the haunting online, and so anyways, I'll have to look up the times. I'm not sure, but right next to it is Stadium Pizza, so people can go there and then get some pizza and craft beer and that sort of thing.
Then
But
bust a haunted house.
yeah. But you asked about my perfect day in Temecula, and I think I would start out with going in a hot air balloon, obviously. A great escape. And
Yes.
If you're gonna die and go to hell in a haunted
Yeah.
house, it's best to go to a hot air balloon and wine in the morning.
Yeah. So then I would go to the Swing In Cafe for breakfast and walk around the old town Temecula because there's so many great shops. And you mentioned cigars. There's a humidor shop and
Yeah.
just so many great shops down there. So I would do a little bit of shopping in Old Town Temecula. And I would probably then go out to the wineries. There's also places where you can go horseback riding. And do,
Really?
like a wine
Oh,
tour.
cool.
So that would be fun. I've always
Yeah.
wanted to do that. And then I think I would dart over to Paris, go to the Train Museum, and then come back to Old Town Murrieta to go to Anthony's for dinner.
You
So-
just blew my mind with the Harvey House thing. You know, I didn't even realize that was Elsinore, but you're. That's amazing because my brother Donald made us go. You know what I mean? We're coming back from a long trip. It's like, oh, just keep going. But once we went to the Harvey House, it was amazing. You know?
Yeah, I love history, and there's so much in the region. In fact, there's a little town of Winchester that most people don't know about. And when I worked at a school, we were writing a grant to do a little documentary about this little town. But what happened is the men, it was dry farming, and they were in the fields for so long that the women had to take over the major leadership roles in the town. And so there was a female mayor and Wells Fargo agent and postmaster and everything.
Oh, wow.
And so it was like the women ran the town, and it was the first time in the 1880s where they could really take a leadership role and get out of the homes and work a bit and have a little bit of a professional career.
Which is weird because they gossiped, fought among themselves, and killed each other before they. I'm so sorry.
That's just a little community. I remember when I was working out there, going through Winchester, because I had to. I had a Google map, and I had to end up going through a dirt road, trying to find a Crunch gym to go to
A crunch gym.
to go shower up, and after working there, and and I found it, and I was like, it was dark, and I was going from a road, looking on a map, a dirt road, and then I came up on some other road right there in Winchester, and then it was up in a hilly area. It was really nice. There's some nice homes up there.
That's what's so interesting about the Inland Empire. I went to college at CSUSB, Cal State San Bernardino. And I mean, this cute campus with we talked about this before, but the San Andreas Fault running through the campus. But it's a nice small campus. You have goats in the hills in the morning, but you made one wrong turn and you were in the hills have highs.
And then going, okay, how do I
That's our
find
area.
my way
Yes.
back?
It was either feast or famine,
Yeah.
Back then, we didn't have our GPS.
No.
Exactly. The Thomas brothers.
Thomas guy.
I pull out my Thomas guide.
Yeah.
It's like studying it like a Talmudic scholar. It's like, please get me out of this horrible place.
I've gotten lost a couple of times for sure. And another great place that most people don't know about is Canyon Lake. And it's right on a lake that you could ski on and jet ski on. And people have homes, you know, $1 million homes right on the lake. But it's actually reasonably priced for living on a lake. And it's a great little community.
Is it a man-made lake?
I believe so, yes. Yeah.
Wow. So stocked with fish and everything?
Yeah, there is some fish there.
They do. They have to do that for their ecosystem.
Because we have, what's the other name for Frank G. Benelli Park over here? Oh, yeah, okay. What happens is we have a man-made lake in Pomona. When they find the
Pudding
dead
stone.
when they have the boat races, it's pudding stone.
Yeah.
When they find the dead prostitute there, it's Frank G. Benelli Park.
Yeah.
It's like they're nothing alike.
It's a small place, but they have drag boat races.
Drag boat, yeah. But have you ever swam there? It's slime. It's all.
I went skiing there once, and it was really fish pondy.
You're swimming in jet ski boat slime. It just I remember going there and think, why do people like Frank G. Bailey Park, aka Pudding Stone? The water was slime. It's not like Elsinore where it's really nice.
Yeah.
Best dog I ever had was from Elsinore. A Scottish Terrier.
I spent most of the time in the boat.
Throwing up or?
I didn't. As soon as I went skiing, I was back in the boat. I didn't want to spend much time in that murky water.
I tangled my. Yeah, there we go. Don't take a picture of that.
No, I'm just taking some video.
You need to be in some of them.
No,
People would rather look at you than us.
No
Trust
way.
me on
You
this.
guys are so awesome. I love your personality.
No, you're adorable. Thank you for doing the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on. This is so much fun.
I mean, we haven't let you go yet because you're so interesting.
You've got a great face for radio.
He's talking about himself, actually. No, this is amazing. I mean, Kansas, Dallas, and here.
Yeah, it's been a great experience. All different cultures and different. It's all people, which they're all great, and amazing, but just different cultures. So it was really fun to have that experience.
Now, have you ever shown your kids where you were born and grew up in Bellflower before you moved?
I have, actually, and I've taken my daughters to Kansas. They loved it.
Wow.
Oh, gosh, they loved it. Because out here, I mean, the schools are a lot of modular buildings, and back in Kansas with the brick, and it was just really unique culture.
That's the really weird thing. I mean, when I was teaching history and English, you would go from, there was a brick school there, but there was such an overflow of students that you would be in these modular buildings where every sound is like, the Hulk is running down the hall,
Yeah.
So
so it's grown exponentially. We just can't keep up, and building costs and land are so expensive. So my kids were at a school that had a lot of modulars. They saw a brick school, and they wanted that old town feel. They loved the little town, but it's just I mean, we lived here, but
yeah, but I'm not going to cry for some kid growing up in Elsinore. Elsinore's pretty damn nice.
Yeah.
Gateway to Lake Arrowhead. I mean, the only thing scary is your roads in the morning. You know what I mean? I mean, I had to get a life when the fog rolls in. I had to get a life cast. The guy from Return of the Living Dead did my thing for the movie in Colorado, and I learned to make the appointments at like noon. Because if you went too early, you're going on these winding mountain roads
and you can't see
fog.
10 feet in front of you.
You can't see 4 feet in front of you, And it's every turn, every mountain turn was like a Hail Mary pass. You know what I mean? That was scary. I mean, driving, and like I told you, when you go up in the Arrowhead in the mountains, it would be white knuckle until you drove out of the you drove out of the fog, and then. As soon as they must have known this, the town fathers, because as soon as you got off this horrifying mountain, there was a Del Taco waiting for you. A half-pound bean and cheese does a lot to restore your. Yeah. Thank God, indeed. A half-pound bean and cheese will restore your courage in any situation.
Right above the fog line, the elevation, right when you get up there.
It's like I just remember going and it was 2 lanes. You know,
I've been through that fog at night, and
at night, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No, thank you.
It was just like
Put me back in that haunted bed and breakfast.
Oh, it was crazy. I didn't think I was going to survive just praying the whole way. But in
it's
our
terrifying.
area, we get the fog. But I mean, it's the roads aren't that busy. The country roads, and a lot of them are straight, so it's not really that bad with the fog. But yeah, it's just the freeways are now kind of packed in the morning. I was a little bit surprised. It used to be no man's land where you wouldn't see a car for
right.
eons, but now we do have the traffic and stuff. I commuted to Cal State Fullerton from.
Oh, my brother's alma mater and Kevin Costner's.
Yes. Go Titans.
You know what?
Great
Please,
baseball team.
tall, leggy blonde. You had to be a sorority girl.
No, I commuted and
Oh,
lived with my
good girl.
parents. I had to work. So I worked like 30 hours a week and paid for my school.
I went to a
books.
commuter college too. I worked at like Trader Joe's in a movie theater. You know what I mean? Because that was before. By senior year, I started writing for magazines. So I was able to pay for my entire senior year writing for like 2 really horrible Star Trek magazines.
Good for you, though, to get that experience.
It was easier than working at Trader Joe's, let me tell you. You haven't lived until you've been screamed at by a hippie. And now you guys were laid back. But I mean, so you went from Elsinore to Fullerton.
Yeah, so that was quite a commute. So that was
Kellogg Hill was a nightmare.
tough.
Because
Yeah.
you would have been going straight down the 10, right?
I took the 15 to the 91.
Wow, that's right, because that was before the 15 went all the way through.
Yeah, it was pretty insane. It was an insane commute, but now students look at MSJC, which is right in our local town, like as a commute, because the traffic has gotten so bad. So we kind of used to laugh at that, but with the traffic, that's a commute for them. So
Do you remember in the carefree 90s when the trash would blow so hard? I mean, going to the school, the trash would blow so hard that they would literally, if the 15 going to Cal State San Bernardino, there was always an 18-wheeler that would try and get past Cajon Pass, and it would flip by Glen Helen.
Oh yeah.
And then would put you on Highland. Remember Highland? It was alternate route. And when the Santa Anas were kicking in, there was one area where it was nothing but like a twister of garbage, flying newspapers, and you would see them all. Yeah. And the wind was so strong, the newspaper would hit the somebody's cyclone fence, and it was covered with newspaper. Like the house and the thing was made of newspaper. And you're trying to drive in this, and it was literally, I've never seen weather like that during the Santa Anas before, and you're trying to get to college using a friggin' Thomas Brothers guide. You're probably in the squiggly line, and then where does it intersect, and how the hell will I get to Kendall? It was horrifying. But I'm so impressed that you drove from Elsinore to Fullerton.
Thank you. Yeah, it was tough. When I got my college degree, I realized that college is mostly just about perseverance. Anybody has the intelligence, but it's about, can you persevere? There's so much distraction in Southern California. Be at the beach, working, be out with your friends, just so much to do that it was hard to have that discipline to go to class every day and complete the assignments and make that commute. And so
because that commute was heavy duty, because I was doing sort of the reverse, getting to my desert rat college. Yours going all the way to the classy Cal State Fullerton. They were impacted when I tried to get in there.
Oh yeah, I had to crash many courses.
Wow, wasn't that great?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
I had to take some classes at the Fullerton City College.
FCC. Actually,
RCC.
You know who went to Fullerton City College is where James Cameron went.
Oh, really?
The director of Titanic, Terminator.
Nice.
He was driving a truck and going to Fullerton Community College. He couldn't get in.
It's an excellent school, for sure.
It's interesting. Because the Costner, the interesting thing about Cal State Fullerton is like the girl, Linda Wolverton, the first Oscar nominee for writing, I believe, Beauty and the Beast, she went there, and it was kind of exciting to see. Fullerton has such a rich history.
It does.
And did you ever go to Texas Lucy's? You don't have the body of a Texas Lucy's girl, but...
I didn't.
But Texas Lucy's, I mean, the big greasy spoon, greasy burger. You know what I mean? I mean, but you would go past Brea, of course.
Yes. Yeah, so it was a great place to go to college, a really, really good school, and it was reasonably priced.
It really was.
I couldn't afford a private school, so I had to put myself through college. So I'm proud of my daughter for going to college right now and persevering.
Is she going to your alma mater, or is she picking?
She's at MSJC. She's
local.
Okay.
Oh,
yeah.
No, that's good, because the big deal is I did a couple of years at Chafee as a Panther. I mean, because especially now, I mean, the tuitions are killer. Our sister, there were 5 kids in my family, and my sister went to UCR. So I think my parents were glad to have nothing but sons after that who are picking up our entirely useless English degrees. You know.
Well, I did want to mention too. I forgot to mention earlier, there's a really great festival, since we're talking about education and history and everything, that most people don't know about in Riverside. It's the Charles Dickens Festival, and it's coming up in February. And
I didn't know he had a connection.
Oh, I saw that event page.
Oh,
I got
you
friends
have
that do
to
the
go.
Pirate and Renaissance Fair. You know, I do the Pirate thing and the Renaissance Fair. Then there was they have the Revolutionary one and the Dickens.
Oh, it's
Festival.
so great.
I would love to
Dickens-
dress up as Dickens character.
Yeah,
you know,
they come in costume, and they
Yeah.
have Queen Victoria.
wear a big top
and-
hat. You know.
Exactly, and so my son learned to juggle there, and they also had they have speakers or actors who come as Edgar Allan Poe, and he recites his poetry,
Oh,
or
how
Louisa
cool.
May Alcott, and
Yeah.
everyone's dressed up, and then they have food and different vendors and things you can buy and activities, and it's all from the 1880s. So it's a wonderful educational experience for kids. It's fun for adults. You could dress up, kind of have your inner actor, child, 1880s Victorian
Yeah.
character come out.
Bring out your dads. No, does Dickens have a connection to the area, or?
I don't know.
Or is it just some enterprising
I think
librarian?
it's just a ideal location to have the event.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's just very historic there, and I love Dickens. He's one of my favorite authors. So,
Is he really?
Yeah. So,
Wow.
anyways, it's a great festival. Most people don't know about. It's very unique.
And who plays Mrs. Havisham? For your Great Expectations fans.
I like a Tale of Two Cities.
Wow. Okay.
It was the best of times and the worst of times.
Wow. I've always dug. Have you guys ever read A Christmas Carol? It's
Yes.
actually great.
I've never read it. I've only watched every version.
Well,
available.
you the Mr. Magoo versions.
Yeah.
That was the first version I saw, by the way. Mr. Magoo is begging the
Yeah.
ghost not to kill him. And it's like, why is it? I turned in late because if you watch the cartoon from the beginning, they set up that Mr. Magoo is playing a part, so they don't freak out the kids. I turned in late as a kid, so Mr. Magoo is begging the ghost not to kill him or take his life. Kind of like I did at the bed and breakfast at Heather's wedding. The lovely Heather Valentino, and I'm in a ghost-filled room. It was very terrifying. But okay, Tale of Two Cities, interesting.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite books, and there's Great Expectations, of course.
With the wedding
and-
cake covered in rats. That was always my favorite detail in Great Expectations.
So, anyways, that's a fun festival.
And when is that, by the way?
That's at the end of February. That's coming up.
Oh, soon.
So-
That's close. And
Yeah.
when was the actual title? Because this sounds like something worth looking into.
Yeah, let me look that up. It's in Riverside, and they actually have a ball that they do where people can come in Victorian dress. and,
I got to do this. I
it's
love
so
dressing
fun.
up in old clothing and stuff.
Oh, it's so great.
Jeff's characters always come from the Goodwill for some reason.
Well, not that kind of old
Here's
clothing.
the Charles Dickens Festival. It's February 24th and 25th in downtown Riverside. And this year, the featured book is Great Expectations.
Hey,
So
I'm going to
that'll
bust
be
out my
really
Mrs.
good.
Havisham costume.
Yeah, so look, I mean, people dress up, and
Wow.
there's so many great costumes. And the
Now-
Pickwick Ball.
Wow, that sounds crazy as
Is
hell.
there a costumer down there in the area where you could buy or rent outfits?
There probably is. They also have them on the premise where you can buy costumes and then also buy patterns and have someone make your costume. I guess this year it's Mr. Fezziwig's ball. And that's February 3rd.
Mr. Fezziwig, if memory serves, remember this is an English major speaking, he, I believe, is the ex-convict who puts the male lead through, the male lead becomes a gentleman to keep up with the girl of his dreams because he hides Fezziwig when Fezziwig is running from the cops. Fezziwig later becomes a man of substance and pays the kids' way through school anonymously.
Wow, good memory.
Thank you.
Wow, that's great.
There we go. There we go.
That would be a good role for me.
Because it was, but the interesting thing about Great Expectations, it's one of those books, especially, and I've gone through, I had to teach it during a remedial summer school, but I read it as a kid. And if you get through the lugubrious opening, you know, like a lot of classic books, they're like Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, I've said this before, is almost impossible. If you get past the first 40 pages, and that's where every high school kid taps out, it's a sea captain, you don't know how he stuck in the ice, and the rest of the crew wants to murder him and throw him overboard. Followed by like a lugubrious 20-page love letter to the guy who builds the monster, none of which has anything to do with the rest of the novel. The sea captain is eventually paid off, but the love letter is just long and boring. And if you can get past that first 40 pages, once the monster is running around, once the monster reads, he finds a trunk, and he reads Paradise Lost, and that's where he learns about good and evil. The monster develops a conscience. If you can get everybody past that first 40 pages, it's a great book. Dickens, to his credit, hits the ground running because everything, I think most of his books, and I know certainly A Christmas Carol, they were written in serialization style. So he had to keep you reading. It was like a serial. He had to keep you reading, so all this cool stuff happens. That's why in A Christmas Carol, you get about, when you read the book, you get about 10 pages of Dickens being an SOB, of Scrooge being an SOB.
Oh, yeah.
Marley shows up fairly quickly for a ghost in a Victorian novel, but he's showing up because it was written in serial form, and he had to keep you reading. So when the dead partner shows up covering all the chains, Dickens was writing it so you would keep reading. He wanted you to read every installment. And A Christmas Carol, one of the great things about it is it became this big seller for the newspaper. So the newspaper, and Dickens was just trying to pay bills. So he's coming up with the three ghosts and the past and the future. And I mean, he created one of the classic ghost frameworks, one of the classic Gothic story frameworks with this. I mean, Victorian literature always involved ghosts and portents and terrible omens, you know, but he came up with this way. Him and Hawthorne, by the way, Hawthorne.
Oh, I love Hawthorne.
You know what?
God.
But his short stories, man, because Scarlet Letter is hit and miss because there is also some slow going in there. But when Hawthorne is at full gears, when you read Dr. Heidegger's Experiment, when you read Rappaccini's Daughter, he would have this freaky Baroque Gothic stuff in there, and and you're like, you're reading it, and the same with Dickens. Even though they're in an era where everything, you slow the wheels down. If you're gonna have a monster in the story, you're gonna slow the gears. You're gonna slow everything down. And Hawthorne would hit the gas, especially in the short stories. The Minister's Black Veil and everything else. If you read, and Hawthorne gets a bad rep in high school because Scarlet Letter. A lot of people can't get into Scarlet Letter. If you do, it's a great Victorian love story about guilt, evil, innocence.
It is a great story.
And when you read his short stories, he couldn't mess around. You know what I mean? He had to get right to it. So when you read Young Goodman Brown has been stolen by so many horror movies. If you look at Last Exorcism and all these other horror flicks, Young Goodman Brown, Hawthorne was a master of misdirection. You know, if you went to a trusted authority figure, they were going to screw you before that last page. And I mean, that was one of the great things about his work. Even now, I mean, if you look at Hawthorne's stuff, and I mean, Scarlet Letter is great. It's got the portents, it's got the guilt, it's got the Victorian innocence and evil. But if you go to his short stories, he has to do a condensed version. It's like a double shot as compared to a mocha latte, because he's got to get your pump going right there. He doesn't have time to mess around because it's a novella. But Young Goodman Brown is one of the great short stories. It's one of those stories. Oh my God, we got off Dickens, but I have to say Hawthorne's better than Dickens.
Oh, God.
Sorry. Have a Hawthorne Festival, kids.
Now I know why you're a teacher, because you really drew me in.
It just sounds better. Dickens, because it's such a common household name, you know. Hawthorne, they're going to go like City of Hawthorne Boulevard.
I know,
Yeah.
but the thing is, because Dickens is great on that. Dickens is structured. Dickens loves class warfare. Even Christmas Carol is class warfare. Getting a rich guy to care about people, and you find out his own hidden pain. That's a great reveal.
A Tale of Two Cities, class warfare, the French Revolution.
By the way, exactly right. And all the wrong people go to the guillotine in that.
Yes,
and
definitely.
that was one of his big themes of Dickens is the rich screwing the poor. Even Miss Havisham in Great Expectations.
True.
She's weaponizing this innocent young girl to destroy people because of her own bitterness. I mean, it's an amazingly revolutionary story, and I love it. But Hawthorne, man.
Hawthorne is good. I actually named my son Nathaniel. And
Did you really?
Nathaniel Hawthorne was one of my favorites.
By the way, oh wow.
Yeah.
And plus, his father was a priest. No, sorry.
And I do have to mention, too, with the Dickens Festival, you would like this. Trial of Jack the Ripper on February 24th. They recreated at 10:30 a.m.
Wow.
It's
So
a Southern
like
California
that.
jury, though, so they'll let him go.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Right.
They give him the full OJ pass.
They'll probably make him a celebrity. Yeah.
The girls the girls and guys will comment on his dreamy British accent.
You're a naughty one. So see Jack.
Stay out of trouble, Jack.
And here you go. Escape from Miss Havisham's attic.
Wow,
February
yeah.
24th.
That's
There you
the attic
go.
one.
Oh, wow.
No,
I would
Gotta
like
be
to do
there.
that.
The attic, the Miss Havisham's attic is one of the cool things because it's got her rotting wedding cake. She wears wears her tattered wedding dress, and there's a wedding cake covered in rats. That's one of the big.
Right.
Yeah,
Oh, you have such a great memory. I love it. Love talking classical novels with you.
It was so vivid. I mean, if you can read, I took a year, maybe 2 years ago. I spent one summer, and I was thinking, I'm going to reread the classics. You know what I mean? I mean, because you would get the moribund reading list, and it was so hard to teaching A Tale of Two Cities over a summer. No, none of the guys got into it. Some of the girls picked up quick, but none of the boys could deal with that at all. You know what I mean? But when you reread a lot of the classics, I mean, H.G. Wells, all of Wells' stuff could have been written yesterday.
Wells is brilliant.
Hemingway. Oh my God, Hemingway! You know what? Fitzgerald's Great Gatsby is an amazing. When was the last time you looked at it? Try this. Look at a lot of the classic novels again. Gatsby is incredible.
That's all I have in my library is classic novels. That's what I read. I love them, and along with leadership books but classics. That's
what's your favorite? What's your favorite? Seriously, of the three, pick three novels that meant the most to you.
Oh gosh, I loved Moby Dick.
Did you really?
Tale of Two Cities.
You learned on that one, sister. Moby Dick stinks.
So, Scarlet Letter, of course.
Of course.
The Awakening. I love Mary Chopin.
Wow, Mary Chopin.
So,
The Awakening.
So
you just blew my mind.
There's just so many. It's just hard to pinpoint. But I do enjoy some of the Russian authors. Chekhov is one of my favorites. The Three Sisters and Anton Chekhov. And, oh gosh, there's just so many. So.
You ever read Willa Cather?
Oh, yes, I have, but I can't remember a particular title, but I know.
If you haven't read O Pioneers, please read O Pioneers. I had to take a women in lit class. It's a great. They made it an okay version of it with Jessica Lange, but read the book. The book is much better. You know what I mean? Okay. I mean, it was one of those books. I was in college and was complaining to my best friend, and I were on the phone, and I was complaining about this book, and I was describing the book, and my mom took my copy because I tossed it on the table. She read it and loved it. And when she raved it up, I was having coffee before I went to school. And she goes, will you stop trashing this book and take a look at it? And it became one of my favorite novels. I mean, O Pioneers is, it's a great.
I have to write that down.
Yeah, O Pioneers. It's O, the letter O, not O-H for some reason. But it's this woman who, she's from Holland or something. She's new to the country. She comes over here and she's a little brother, and the little brother is spoiled and entitled. And because she's kind of been a mother and father figure to her younger brother, it's kind of like It's a Wonderful Life. where basically she's struggling in this new country and she's trying to get her brother the best of everything. As such, the brother is spoiled and entitled and becomes an argument. The argument in the book, Cather's arguing, he takes advantage of his sister's kindness and he becomes kind of a boorish. Well, she is really struggling and she's kind of denying her own happiness. I can't believe.
Can't wait to read it.
Please do, because you'll really enjoy it. She kind of delays her own happiness. And when she finds happiness and the brother is misbehaving and getting himself into more and more trouble, she's digging him out of his problems and he keeps finding more. And so when you're reading the story, you're thinking, when is she going to get a break for herself? When she gets a break, something terrible happens. It's a great book. Please read O Pioneers.
Definitely.
No, thank you. I have to thank the late great mom. You know what I mean? She's like, will you stop knocking the book and look at it? Because I read the back cover and I was bitching about it. College kid.
Mark Twain is good too.
Wow, Mark Twain. You know what? Again, he's somebody else whose short stories are so much better than they're given credit for. You know what I mean?
Definitely. Yeah, he was brilliant. Oh my gosh.
When's the last time you took a look at Jack London?
Oh, Jack London. I was reading Call of the Wild.
Oh my God. When were you reading Call of the Wild? Because I reread it like 2 summers ago. If you don't have a lump in your throat the size of Manhattan by the end of it.
I was reading my son White Fang like a year ago. We started that. I love Jack London. I want to go to Alaska.
I know. But you know what? You can actually take him by Jack London Square in San Francisco.
That would be great. Jack London is so amazing.
You know what? And when you look at his stuff, I mean, London, To Build a Fire, another great short story writer. He has this great, because he did so many dog stories, and he did this great To Build a Fire, where this dog, again, it's your usual Jack London setup, abused dog who's supposed to pull all the crap. The guy takes the dog up to Alaska for a gold hunt. And he's not prepared. He just wants to find gold, so he's ill prepared. Comes up there, like in Call of the Wild, he overloads the dog and beats the dog because the dog can't pull because he can put too much on there. And there's a part where the dog realizes the human can't be trusted. And the dog is hanging out because he knows as bad as this guy is, he'll eventually build a fire. And that's what the dog wants because the dog has no opposable thumbs. He can't light a fire. And the dog realizes when the guy screws up so much, he decides, I've screwed up so much, I'm going to cut my dog's stomach open and put my hands in his hot guts. And there's somewhere along the line when the dog tumbles to this. And it's this great cat and mouse where the dog realizes, oh my God, it's a great short story. You can probably find that online. The dog realizes halfway through the story, this guy is going to kill me and he can't light a fire, so he's of no use to me. Great story.
So does he kill the...
That's why you got to read the story. Okay. Whoa. It's a great story. I mean, when you reread the classics, even the short stories, there's one that's been ripped off a lot. There was a guy named Saki, S-A-K-I, and you think he's an Asian writer. Okay. But he's not. He's just some pretentious English guy who wanted you to read his work. Saki wrote a story you've seen ripped off. I mean, if you look at a lot of the classic short stories, like Cottle's Most Dangerous Game, which you saw as Predator, you saw as Surviving the Game, and all these other movies. You know, it was the first story where one guy is hunting another human. You know, Saki wrote a great story called The Interlopers, and it's a short story. It's a quick read. It's great.
Okay, I'll write that down.
2 generations of guys have hated each other because they fought over the land between their 2 homes. And they both go out in the snow with the intention of killing the other one and make it look like an accident. And again, that's all I want to tell you because the emotional change in the story as these 2 guys, they get into a situation where they can only get out of it by helping each other. And
that's great.
Isn't it?
Oh my gosh, what a great plot line.
You've seen this so many times, but this Interlopers was the first one to do it.
Nice.
And they're vowing everlasting friendship. And of course, there's a kick in the gut final page, which I will not, I mean, you want to see early Stephen King, read Shirley Jackson. I mean, you read short stories like The Lottery, which huge influence.
Oh, The Lottery was so good. That was one of my favorite. in
Isn't
high
that
school.
amazing?
So, yeah.
And she did Hill House. If you want to read The Shining, written about 70 years before Stephen King, read her story is the Haunting of Hill House,
Okay.
which became The Haunting and everything else, and it's just a terrific book. I mean,
Didn't the lottery kind of reminded me of the Hunger Games? I think the Hunger Games took their
Hunger
spotlight
Games
from that.
steals so much of the lottery, right down to the entire town being involved.
Right.
Hunger Games, by the way, the Hunger Games books read like a house on fire, don't they? I mean, the Hunger Games books go so quickly. I mean,
I haven't read those books.
don't go by the movie because
Okay.
the books are actually, I've got to give her credit. The books are actually a really fun, violent read. It's half Shirley, it's half The Lottery, Shirley Jackson's Lottery, and half a Japanese movie on Netflix
Okay.
called Battle Royale.
Okay.
If you've
I'll
never
write
seen
that
Battle
down.
Royale, it's the original Hunger Games. Hunger Games steals
Really?
everything.
That where they got that idea from.
Oh my God! They put a bunch of troublesome high school students in Japan are put on an island to fight to the death.
Oh wow.
You know, and the
I'll
winner
have
gets to
I
go
wrote that
home. That's
down.
it's a great Battle
That's
Royale's
cool.
terrific. It's one of those when you see it right. There's even a frying pan like in Hunger Games. It's amazing to see how much they take from this and that. But in rereading the classics, if you haven't read Call of the Wild and Wild, give it another look. It's
Oh yeah, definitely.
if you don't choke up by the last 2 pages. I mean, it opens with this wonderful half wolf, half German shepherd. Is he half German shepherd? Yeah, he gets knocked on the head and taken to Alaska.
That's Charlton Heston, right?
They did Charlton Heston version, but mostly BS. The book is better.
Yeah, because that movie was kind of a disappointing ending. You know, it just kind of like that was it.
Yeah, no, the Charlton Heston movie ends with Charlton Heston because they're paying him $1 million. The book ends with the dog, as it should, because the book starts and ends with the dog, and that's how the movie should end. And it was a Charlton Heston movie they stuck a dog into. But if you haven't, War of the Worlds is amazing. Time Machine is amazing. Eddie Hawthorne, I'm a Hawthorne junkie. Bram Stoker's Dracula is a great book. I mean,
yeah, absolutely.
it's a great book. I mean, there's really disturbing stuff in it. And Stephen King, I didn't realize this as a kid because I didn't bother reading Dracula because it was an old, boring book. But Stephen King borrows the structure of Dracula for Salem's Lot. One of the great stories he tells in On Writing, another book you should read, On Writing by Stephen King.
Okay.
And he talks about King talks about all his influences and the book just makes me want to sit down and start writing. It's one of the most inspiring books I've ever read. And anytime I have writer's block or something, I bust out On Writing and read the first 2 chapters. King was teaching at a boys academy. And, 4 out of 6 classes, he was teaching Thornton Wilder's Our Town. And
That's a good one.
And 2 of the classes, I thought that one was boring. It was very dry. I mean, I love you're from Kansas, so I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt on this. But 2 of the classes were Dracula. And so with Salem's Lot, it's Our Town meets Dracula.
Nice.
And in the opening of the story, in the opening of Salem's Lot, you see all these newspaper articles. He's basically painting the town with these different newspaper articles. And that's the exact format of Dracula, where they're piecing together after whatever happened with Dracula happened, everyone's piecing together how it happened. And you are there. It's both a detective thriller, finding out how this happened, what happened. The amazing thing about Dracula is every adaptation of Dracula usually throws the book away after chapter 2 because they leave Castle Dracula, they leave Romania, Transylvania, and never come back. I mean, the book ends with the peasant army, the gypsy peasant army is trying to get Dracula back. There's a publishing house in Elsinore, at least there was as far as the 90s went, called Borgo Press.
Okay, I didn't know that.
And it was a very funny reference because Borgo Pass is the direct route to Castle Dracula, and that's where the gypsies are trying to bring him back to Castle Dracula. When everything goes wrong in the book in England, they try to get when they stop the vampire spread in England, the gypsies are trying to get Dracula back into the castle, and and they take Borgo Pass, and that's where they get jumped. And that was Dracula was written again. He was kind of a starving writer trying to get what the market wanted. That's why there's a cowboy in the middle of Dracula. Most of the versions of Dracula dump the cowboy or make him a normal guy. Wow. But the Francis Ford Coppola movie is one of the only ones that really played up the cowboy being there. Only reason the cowboy was there is because Westerns were selling, and he desperately wanted to make some money.
Oh my God!
Wow, bring in the cow.
You know, secondary to Dracula is The Historian, which is a more contemporary one by Elizabeth Kostova.
The Historian.
She was a professor at a college and wrote The Historian, and it's a continuation of Dracula. But I did want to segue just super quick back to the Wine and Balloon Festival, because I did forget to mention in March that the campsites are going on sale, and it's really important to get a campsite there.
Who can they call? Go on.
So they can go on the website. It's www.tv. So T as in Tom, V as in Victor, B as in boy, WF.com, and in March the campsites go on sale. What's great about the campsites is that you don't have to beat the traffic, because there's one road going in and out, and so that has been one challenge for people. So if you just want to stay the whole weekend, get a campsite.
Smart. And you're going to be drinking wine anyway.
Yes, exactly. So and then also I wanted to mention that they're going to be holding, which is super fun, this is a blast, they're going to be doing races in a wine barrel. So it's wine barrel races are coming up. And
wait, do you wear them like clothes with the strap and you run?
yeah, they make them into.
Oh my gosh!
They make them into like.
I would pay $100 to watch him do that.
How dare you, sir?
That'd be so funny.
The wine barrel races are hilarious.
I gotta get this guy in the wine barrel.
Yeah, you gotta come out and get in a wine barrel, seriously. And they race them, and they're these little carts, and they just go all crazy, and people dress up, and so they have a lot of fun, and that's coming up. And then we just won the CalFest 2017 award for Best Digital Media Campaign, Best Radio Campaign.
Which you're doing now.
Yeah. And the Best Media Relations Award in 2017 from PRSA.
That's directly for you, right? That was direct, because you're an amazing spokesperson for Elsinore, and I mean, your enthusiasm about it, looking at your face when you talk about it, you're genuinely in love with Elsinore.
Thank you. Yeah, I do. I do love the region, and it's actually, I would say, I mean, thank you for that kind compliment. I'm just on the team. Melody Brunstein from Mel's Works. She is just an incredible marketer.
Brunstein or Bronstein?
Brunstein, Brunsting, and Mel's AdWorks, and she is completely phenomenal, does all the artwork, and I work with her, and she's primarily the brains behind the operation, and she's just, I've learned so much from her. She's mentored me. She's incredible. So.
And being from Kansas, you have no poker face.
No, I don't. Exactly.
That is impressive. That's how I know you're sincere.
Thank you. Good observation. So, anyways, yeah, you'll have to come out for the barrel races. I was trying to look up the.
When are the barrel? Yeah, find out the barrel races, and let's go over the dates, because we're in the last 14 minutes.
Saturday, April 14th at the Promenade Mall. So you have to come out for barrel racing.
Wow,
it's hilarious.
Barrel racing.
So that's kind of a fun precursor to the festival. Kind of gets people excited and jazzed up about it. So they'll start releasing the music lineup soon. It's always really good.
So it's a pretty big campsite. Is that what you
Is it a KOA?
Is it, to get your campsite, and then once you're set up, you could shuttle around, or what? Or how do you do that?
Yeah, they have carts, and I mean, it's an easy walk, and people bring their RVs. The campsites, I wouldn't say they're large, but they're decent size, but they do sell out quickly. So
they do.
It's really important to go on and watch the date for when those go on sale and get yours reserved.
Wow. Interesting. You know, it's just amazing, because when you look at it, this is the 35th year of the Wine and Balloon Festival.
Yes.
And wow, and then the wine and the barrel race. How many times have you guys done that before?
Oh gosh, that's a good question. I just attended my first one last
year. Did you wear the
so
barrel? Did you do the run?
It was raining that day.
Oh.
It was like didn't have
Yeah,
a
you were a
super great-
cheerleader, all right.
But yeah, I was going to be allowed to do the grape stomp, which we do for Media Day, a grape stomp. and
We'll actually see your
that's one
bare
of
feet
the-
crushing grapes.
I haven't.
Jeff
done
and I
that-
are finished
I
this.
haven't done that since the '80s wine festival here in Rancho. I haven't done that.
The wine festival, we used to have a wine festival, and it was that's the thing I told you. Bowser came down, and I saw, what's his name? But who did the Miserlou from Pulp Fiction? Dick Dale. I saw Dick Dale playing at wine festival. Even half drunk. I was half drunk, not him, but it was pretty good. So, but you'll have 3 big bands for the balloon festival for all 3 days.
We have a number of bands, so more each day. There's a number of different bands, and there's 2 stages. There's the main stage and the wine stage. And
I love that you had Bow Wow Wow. That's so great.
So good, yeah,
Wow.
so good. So, and then after the bands, they have a DJ till late into the night on Friday night, and I believe Saturday night. So it's just a fun time. Everybody has a super great time, and it's just, like I said, a little bit less chill than Coachella. And
Now, have you done Coachella, Smarty? I was wondering that about you as well, because you're the Miss in the Empire. Have you done Coachella?
I would like to sometime. It's just, I've heard it's just, so packed and so many crowds and
They
super
call it the home.
expensive.
They call it the home of the $10 water.
Yeah, so
I didn't really like. I saw it from the freeway coming back from Arizona, and I go, no, that's where it is. I'll just keep on driving.
Yeah,
it
it just looks like a pain in the ass. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, kind of. We used to. Do we still have the? Does Glen Helen still have the Renaissance Fair, or do they move it?
It's in it's over here in Irwindale.
Oh, it's in Irwindale now. Okay.
It's right by where you see the Miller Lite Brewery off the 210.
Because when it was at Glen Helen, you used to feel like so it's over there. It's over by.
Yeah, it's Irwindale where the dam is, and there's a river going through there. It's in the back.
Had you ever done the Renaissance Fair?
Oh, yes. Yeah, I love the Renaissance Fair. I did one in San Bernardino. Then there was one, I think, in Pomona or something for a field trip that I did. But the San Bernardino one was great. So
I loved it. In the early days of that, you'd feel like a peasant in a Conan movie. And then they rebuilt the music arena over there.
Yeah.
And suddenly you're in a Ren Fair where at first it felt, nothing but trees at Glen Helen. And then you saw all the high-tech lighting and everything, and in my opinion, it ruined the verisimilitude. You know what I mean? I mean, it took away, because you could believe it in the middle of the San Bernardino forest. You know what I mean? But then they turned around, and then you had high-tech lighting, and you had the stadium entrance. It's like Santa's Village. They brought back Santa's Village burned down, and I was going to take my brother's kids to Santa's Village. Do you know it was like $60 per
really?
person?
Oh my gosh.
It's like, screw that. I'll just take them to.
Yeah,
They
exactly.
rebuilt it and reopened it.
And because they
restored
paid,
it.
They paid so much after half of it burned down in the fires. When they rebuilt it, it was going to be like $180 to take 3 people to. It's like, screw that.
Gosh, yeah, exactly.
I'll take them for Disneyland for a full 300.
Yeah, exactly. Smart man.
Yeah, I mean, it was weird because what I like about what you've been saying today is there's so much cool stuff in the Inland Empire.
There is. Yeah, people don't realize it. They just discount it, but it is just like the coolest place to live in. We're an hour from the ocean, hour from the mountains.
Right.
Such a great little suburb enclave, some people call it the bubble, but it just preserves a little bit of like the family suburban atmosphere, but we still have some shopping, and if the shopping's not good enough, we're not too far away from Orange County or San Diego, and we do have a little museum, the Penny Pickle Children's Museum, and we have a little
You are
history
so
museum in
good.
Temecula.
You are indefatigable on
Just like the Pachango commercial, it just says just an hour away from wherever you are.
Right,
and that's
right.
true. If you're from here or out in LA or Orange County, it's got this radius and that.
And the Inland Empire's always gotten a bad rap. You know what I mean? I mean, they've always gotten, and part of that's meth and everything. Like Breaking Bad. If you read the pilot script for Breaking Bad, the pilot script that he was shopping around was set in Riverside, and Riverside wouldn't give them any. Riverside wouldn't make any big film breaks, tax breaks, So they went to Albuquerque and turned it into this like multi-million-dollar industry, tour guides and everything else, and shooting there. They turned Albuquerque into an even bigger tourist spot than it was.
Yeah.
You know, and
Interesting.
I mean, Riverside didn't want to be associated. You know from the area in the 90s, you'd see the cute girl at AMPM, you know, where you buy your gas in the morning. And she'd slowly get paler and paler, and then she'd get black circles. It was like a sped up, you know, the dead cat footage where you see the dead cat fall apart. Then she'd have teeth like Indian corn because meth was starting up in San Bernardino. And
Right.
I remember this cute girl just going to pieces one from September to October.
That's heartbreaking.
And
Yeah.
it was amazing. She was still coming to work, but she was looking, and it was like one of those time lapse again, the dead cat and time lapse where you see,
Yeah.
and it was just, and I think they've successfully gotten past that.
We have some of the safest cities in California, Murrieta and Temecula. I mean, excellent police force, and then the Riverside County Sheriff's Department.
You
I
were so
can't
good
say
at this.
enough about them. Sheriff Stan Sniff is a good friend of mine, and he is
Wow.
amazing. And so you know, it's a fairly safe area, and I know there's little pockets and different things, but. You know, there's always going to be that, and I'm very passionate about education, and I feel like if you open a school door, just like Victor Hugo said, another classic
Wow.
favorite, open a school door, close a prison door. So I really feel like the answer to reducing crime and reducing the cost and drag on our prison system is by opening more schools and improving education, because people then believe that they have a career pathway. Instead of going to crime, they have a way to make money, and then they're generating revenue and generating taxes instead of removing taxes. Like most people don't realize, the state of California pays the least amount per student head than most any other state. We pay about $12,000 per year to put a student through school. It's about $60,000 to house an inmate. So I mean, we're wasting so much money by focusing.
We should kill them early, you're saying. Disintegration booths.
We need to pay teachers more, so people like you go back into the classroom. You
Denee
know,
has blown our minds with her controversial approach to crime. What's interesting is I knew as soon as you raved up two cities, you had to be a Les Mis girl.
Yes, absolutely. So I'm a firm believer in education. We really need to ramp that up and focus on that. I went to a STEM conference this week. They're doing amazing things. And students who think that their only way to make money in life is become a waitress or taxi driver, what have you, they're realizing they can
Uber.
Right, they can go into aeronautics and they can go into these different fields, and that pathway is available to them. And that's through Project Lead the Way, and that was in Riverside, and it just blew my mind what they're doing with biomed and aerospace and computer science. And so anyways, that's a great it's a curriculum, Project Lead the Way, and schools buy into it, but it's just amazing what they're doing for students in the career pathing where they can make a really good living.
Now, were we on at 5-2? Did we start at 5-2 or did we start on the hour?
No, we got to end it in 5 minutes.
Okay. All right. Now, Blondie, we need you to pimp everything on your resume. Pimp everything you want us to pay attention to. The barrel race.
All your shout outs, everything you got. That
Let's hear it, Denee. Come on.
I have so many shout outs.
Go for it, baby. We'll give it to you.
Okay. So I already mentioned my daughter. So As You Wish Production, if you need any photography done, and also the Inland Empire Grant Professional Association. I'm the president of that. So if you're a grant writer in the Inland Empire, we'd love to have you. And I'm also a director on the Southwest California Legislative Council, which represents all the chambers in the area. So we meet once a month at the Realtor's House in Temecula. We invite anybody to attend and learn about the bills that are coming up in California. And my website is justdenee.com, so go to that. You can read my latest blogs, get recipes, get my opinions on life, what have you.
Well, we've certainly enjoyed those.
I'll be putting more about classical books after talking to you, because I love classical books. And let's see, I just want to give a shout out to my son Nate, who's a Taekwondo black belt, all A's in school. I'm proud of you, buddy. And
Wow.
Is this the director of Super Movie? Is this the writer-director?
yes, he's in 6th grade now. And
Wow.
my daughter Emma, she's my sporty spice. She's in soccer, varsity
Wow,
track
a Spice
team.
Girls reference.
Yeah, cross country, mountain bike team. She's amazing. And Centerpoint in Murrieta is my church that I go to that I love. And I encourage anybody who wants a warm, welcoming atmosphere to go there and be encouraged. So.
You need to run for mayor of Elsinore.
I think you should be
you.
the next mayor.
I
yeah.
really do think you should run for mayor. You have this all-American wholesomeness.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You're so kind. Well, I don't know if they'd let me. I ran for Miss Lake Elsinore one time.
Hubba,
Was a
hubba.
runner-up.
Runner-up.
Well, you are to us.
Yeah, you're
you.
number one, Miss Elsinore to us.
Thank you.
Miss Temecula.
Miss Temecula.
You guys
Miss...
are so kind. Thank you so much.
No, you were terrific. Thank you so much. A lot of energy, interesting, and you were early.
Thank
That's
you very
incredible.
much.
That's an incredible trait in our guests.
Well, I love you guys already. And
We
thank
adore you. Thank you so much. You know.
And tomorrow, we got guests all week, so keep tuning in. Tomorrow we have actress and model Donna Lee
Heising. I almost said
Lee
Helsing, like the anime. And hey, Dan, we love you. God bless you. Get well soon, okay?
And a shout out to Derek from Blood and Teeth booth.
Oh, yeah.
At the
Derek and Blood and
Pasadena
Teeth.
Comic-Con yesterday.
He stopped us and he said, "You guys, I never miss an episode," which
He
made
said,
our
we
day.
watch, listen and watch. This is the radio show you can watch.
Yes, we'll be on YouTube.
Yes.
You best look at our charming guest.
Yes.
Thank you, Pat.
You don't need to see
Yes.
Jeff and I.
You'll be on YouTube. This episode will be available forever.
And I think you automatically rerun her after the show, right?
Well, yeah, I got to click those two things Dutchie showed me how, and I hope I get it right.
And we've got about 30 seconds left. Thank you again.
Thank you.
You
I
know?
look forward to seeing you at the Blaine and Wine Festival,
Well,
Media Relations
you got
Day,
us into it,
Reality
baby.
Rally.
All right.
Wow. Hey, everybody else, whatever you do to live, drive, and survive, have a good one. See you tomorrow morning.
Bye.
Bye. Wow. You were amazing.